Viewers like you make this program possible. Support your local PBS station.
Welcome to Barbecue with Franklin. Well, today's episode is all about whole hogging. And cooking a whole hog can be a little tricky, but if you have wood, a pig, and a lot of patience, it can turn out pretty good. Getting ready for a pig picking. When I get ready to cook a whole hog, the first thing I do is go talk to my local butcher.
Morning, Aaron.
What's up, yo?
Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
How you doing?
Good.
So I'm looking to cook a whole hog. Got any tips?
You know, just like wines, you know,
Yep.
pigs need three things to be really good, and terroir is one, the land they live on, how they move around on that land, the feed that they're given, the rations and the ratios, and then breed and genetics, you know.
Yeah.
Get a good breed, get a good smoker, and have plenty of time dedicated to working it, you know. That's kind of the cardinal rule, you know, don't rush it, let it take its time.
Don't cook too hot.
I know you're probably gonna smoke this bad boy, so.
Well, actually, I'm gonna direct coal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it some Carolina style.
Well, all right, awesome, fantastic.
Is there a generic kind of cook down weight on these things? Or I mean, I'm sure it's pretty breed specific.
Well, you figure usually about 2 pounds per person.
Okay.
You're going to lose about 50% to the cooking and to bone loss,
Right.
inedible basically. You know, feed 50 people, get a 100-pound hog. You know,
Right.
it's a good rule of thumb.
So, what kind of breed should I be looking for?
Well, you know, we like our red wattle here. They marble very nicely,
Right.
especially the loins, the hip end towards the loins. You get a lot of nice marbling, but they also have really large muscles, so you're going to get a nice yield out of it. You
Okay.
know, I see real consistency in them. Like
Yeah.
we run roast ourselves these days, and every time we've done one, they've turned out really exceptional. Are you thinking about doing any seasoning or brine injection or anything like that?
Well, you know, I'm a little on the fence about it actually. Thinking about soaking it overnight in a brine, which I've never done before.
that's definitely a good way to go. But you know, you get a natural sweetness from
Yeah.
that pork when you roast it. That it's really nice to keep everything away from it and just let that pork taste like what it's supposed
Let it
to.
do its thing.
Yeah.
Well, red wattle it is.
Well, excellent, man. We will get you fixed up for
Thank
sure,
you.
man. Absolutely.
See you in a couple days.
You bet.
This is where we're cooking the whole hog, the backyard. But the one thing this backyard's missing is a pit. And since we're cooking this hog Carolina style over direct coals, we've got to build a pit. And it's going to take about 50 cinder blocks. So it's time to get to work. Woo-wee. Well, we've got our cooker built, and now I think it's time to go get a pig. So I remember the first time I cooked a hog. Oh, I burned it to a blackened crisp. The meat was great. The skin was burned. There's a lot of different ways to cook one, like on a spit, you know, over an open fire. Down in Mexico, there's some other ways where you kind of build these racks and hang them up over the fires. I kind of like the Carolina style. I really appreciate the direct coal method. It feels pretty old school to me in a lot of ways. It's certainly akin to the way we cook barbecue. Traditionally, it would just be salt and pepper and some red chili flake, a vinegar mop, and that's pretty much it. So we're kind of going a little outside of the the normal traditional parameters. We're actually going to do a 24-hour brine, which I've never done. I'm not as well versed in cooking whole hogs as I am brisket or other Texasy cuts, you know, so it's trial and error. Let's see what happens. Hey,
man.
How you doing?
Good, good.
You got my pig?
I do, man. Come this way.
All right. Oh, cute little guy. How much do you think this thing weighs?
Weight should be on the inside. You definitely want to be sure that when you're buying a hog that they're marked.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. 70?
Ah, 70, yeah.
Go ahead. I'll meet you out towards the back. Cool. You got it?
Got it.
Okay.
Alrighty. Get it in there.
There she goes.
Thanks, Joe.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Check you later.
Yeah, man. Enjoy. See you soon.
Alrighty, so we're back here in the backyard. We got Little Piggy, and I've got my buddy Fiore here to help. We're gonna prep this thing and get it stuck in the brine for 24 hours. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Tigo, tigo. We've got a whole carcass here. It's already got the insides pulled out of it, but we need to crack the spine because we're gonna splay this out. That way we can get the mop and the rub and everything in there. I'm gonna start right about here. This is where the vertebrae start. There, you find the center of it. Take your sharp axe. And it's possible that the hatchet will get a little off center. Just kind of correct it.
It's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah. Some people would use this as an excuse to maybe use like power tools and stuff. I don't need no stinking power tools. So pretty much it's gonna kind of pull off all this fat and stuff in there. You just kind of want to trim it and you just kind of clean it up a good bit. Every rack of ribs has a membrane. This is kind of where the organs go inside the pig. A lot of times they're kind of slippery, so you can kind of use a paper towel. Once you break it loose, paper towel just kind of helps you grip things. And hopefully, if you're lucky, it'll all come off in one pull. And if you're not, well, then it didn't.
Like what's going on over here.
All right, so we're just kind of hosing this thing out, getting the dirt, checking again for bones. Gonna kind of just rinse it off with water, nothing special. Now we're gonna flip it over. And this is the dirty side. So there's dirt behind the ears. Did you wash your ears?
That reminds me.
So we're injecting the pig with a brine. Made a real basic apple cider vinegar brine. It's got 4 gallons of water, 1 gallon of apple cider vinegar, and 2 cups of kosher salt. That's it. We're gonna keep this pig in here for 24 hours. We've got our little piggy fully submerged in ice water with a brine. I'll check you later.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks
I'll
for
see you
helping.
later. Yeah.
See you tomorrow. So this is where we kind of deviate from the traditional Carolina style. 10, 15 onions. That's a Texas onion. A little bit of garlic. And then I've got a little rosemary from the garden, some sage, and some thyme. Some apples. Let's live a little. Ooh, oh man, that's cold. Alrighty, so we've got our pig in the brine, we got aromatics in there. We're gonna wait 24 hours. Tomorrow, we pull it out, we clean off the skin, we dry it off real nice, we rub it down, we build fire, we cook. So if you're looking to host your own pig picking, something you'll need to consider is what type of hog you're gonna cook. You could cook a heritage pig. With heritage, you're getting a happier pig raised in a healthier environment. In my opinion, they taste a whole lot better. On the other hand, as commodity, these pigs are raised with profit and quick harvest in mind. You're gonna pay a lot less for commodity, but I like knowing our little piggy was happy. Where there's open land, there's bound to be a pig farmer. Richardson Farms is one of the biggest hog farmers in the area, so it's a great place to see some happy little heritage hogs. What does it take to raise a good pig?
Well, it takes good care, you know, humane care where they're not stressed, and it takes time. You don't want to rush them, pushing them with anabolic steroids like they do in some factories, and they say it's growth promoting. It's really covering poor management. You know, what happens is they get all lean and no fat.
Right.
And fat is flavor.
Well, and you know, it seems like that was even a trend back in the 80s and stuff, you know, like lean, 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 and that's couldn't be further from the truth.
Absolutely. You know, that's why pork lost favor. Once it gets to the store in that package, you lose all the story. And so we think if they're not stressed and they've got good husbandry and good places to live, they just don't get sick.
Isn't that true for everything?
It is, people as well. So it's no different than us, you know, they just want to be happy. We're primarily trying to increase the fertility of the soil, you know, with animal impact, with manures, with grazing animals, with keeping the crops growing all the time. You know, I grow alfalfa and I grow oats.
You're really trying to keep it as sustainable.
And diverse, and that's kind of the way the pigs are. They are diverse. What I've got here is Berkshire Red Wattle Cross, I've got Hampshire Red Wattle Cross, I've got Duroc Red Wattle Cross. In the crossbred situation, you get what's called hybrid vigor.
Okay.
You know, this cross from this purebred and that purebred gives you a pig that's vigorously growing, it's strong.
Right. And that's kind of the idea, to get something that grows fast, produces, you know, marbling quickly.
Sometimes you lose a little bit of vigor in pure breeding.
Yeah.
You know, and so some of these lines that have been bred the same,
Get kind of diluted.
they
after
run
a while.
out of genetics, really. You know, they're
okay.
kind of inbred and they lose some of their strength in their genetics.
The ones with thumbs growing out of the shoulders and stuff.
Sorta.
Yeah.
I hadn't found that yet here, but we got wattles.
Yeah.
So we're going
A
somewhere.
wattle growing out of the shoulder. I think it's pretty special to be able to see this. You know, most people just go to the store and grab a piece of meat, and it's like a packaged piece of meat, but not everybody really thinks about where this is coming from. You know, it's not just a piece of meat, it's an animal's life.
It is, and you know, and I say here all the time, these pigs have a great life and they only have one bad day and they don't know when it's coming. And when I go to slaughter, all people at the slaughter take care of them. I mean, they don't kick them, they don't beat them. I really think the pigs are special. I don't want anybody hurting them, you know, and they're here and this is part of the cycle. Feed them well, treat them well, compassionately manage them.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
I think that's the greatest part of the whole thing. You can really tell how much love you guys put into it.
We hope so. I think everybody that ever comes here and sees a sunrise here and hears the pigs and the clanking waters, then they leave, they know this is a happy place.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, that was awesome talking to Jim. Learned so much about pigs. I gotta get back to Austin though. So when you're cooking a whole hog, you don't have to be thinking too much about where all the cuts are, but it's always good to know the basics. The most confusing things about pork cuts are the names we have for the legs and shoulders. The shoulders are actually called butts, and then in the back, you've got the hams. The butts are what pulled pork is generally made from. And between the hams and butts, we've got some other familiar cuts. There's the pork loin, and behind that, the tenderloin. The loin is where your baby back ribs and pork chops come from. If we follow the ribs down, we get to the spare ribs. That's the cut we typically use in barbecue. And outside of the spare ribs, we get to the belly, and that's where the bacon comes from. Lastly, we come around to the hams. They're what your Christmas ham comes from, and it can be prepared any number of ways, from curing to smoking. Now for our pig cook, we're going to end up mixing all these cuts together, but I think it's always good to know your basic hog anatomy. Just hosing little piggy down. Gonna get the aromatics out of there. Gonna wash the brine off. Let's get it good and cleaned up. So really, this gal's looking pretty nice. Been sitting in brine. Really got a lot of water weight in there. It's looking like it's gonna turn out to be a really, really moist pig. I'm happy about this. I'm gonna do a mustard slather. This is real super duper standard. If you'll notice, I'm not getting any mustard on the skin because the skin's kind of its own entity. We're going for crispy skin, but we're going for really heavily seasoned, flavorful meat. And this is a rub. It's mostly pepper. I backed off on the salt since the brine was pretty salty. It's got a lot of paprika. Keeping it real simple on the rub, nothing too special. Got pretty good amount on the hams down here. Butts are under all this. So I think that's enough. Time to flip it over and start pat and dry the skin. Just gonna get the skin as dry as you possibly can. And in the meantime, all the rub's setting on the meat side, and the paprika is gonna kind of sweat into the meat a little bit. The rub's gonna soak in a bit, but this gives us something to do. Skin's looking pretty good. And now for the crown jewel of any whole hog cook, apple. So now that I got the skin pretty dry, I've got the meat side already rubbed down. I want it to sit on there for a little bit longer. I wanted the pig to come up to room temperature a little bit. So I'm gonna put a couple box fans on this thing to help dry out the skin just a little bit more while we're waiting. And just wait about 20-30 minutes. Alrighty. I think it's time to get this piggy on the grill. And I'm worried our good friend may be a little slippery, so I'm using some towels. Oh, not like. I'm gonna take a towel. I'm gonna touch up the skin just a little bit because it made a little bit of a mess. So I'm keeping the skin as dry as it possibly can, no rub on the skin, because I'm treating it as a separate entity. Alrighty, lids are on. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be shoveling coals in these two doors. I'm only gonna put them under the butts and the hams. No coals under the ribs and no coals anywhere else. I want the butts to stay under 225 degrees at great temperature, and I want the hams to stay under 215 degrees at great temperature. The rest of your night is going to be spent here, sitting in a chair, standing up, watching the coals, making sure this little piggy is getting cooked. Just not too fast. Okay. Our little piggy's been cooking for 18 hours right now. Now it's time to probe this piggy, see if it's tender and done. And I think it is. So I'm probing the butts right here. And what I'm really going for more than anything is I'm looking for feel. I want the meat to feel loose. I don't want it to have a lot of resistance. 203 is kind of my magic number. This one's at 202 and it feels real good. I can feel that the meat's just pulling apart in there, real tender. I'm also gonna temp my hams and I'm looking for about 185 to 195. You gotta be really, really careful with these two hams right here. There's not much fat. They're kind of like white chicken meat. They dry out crazy, crazy fast. And that's why we're keeping hotter coals here and lower coals here. Feeling pretty good. Meat's kind of pulling apart pretty nicely. And then just for fun, I'm gonna poke in the bacon. And that's between the skin and the rib. And that feels awesome. See the bacon kind of pulling apart right there? That's gonna be the good part. Alrighty, so this hog's done. In the meantime, I'm just gonna let the coals die out. I'm gonna keep it warm, looking to hold about 140. We've got guests showing up in about an hour. So it's time to get ready, and then we're gonna have a real live pig picking. Shoot.
So are we gonna eat this or what?
I've actually got some tofu. We're gonna start pulling some meat apart, I guess. Oh man, these hams are about right too. Right. Look at that. Hands look totally moist and in the right way. I guess we could just lay that. Oh! Oh my jowls. It's the boneyard, baby. All right, so I think we're ready to eat, yo. Grab a plate, grab a bun, grab some beans. We'll throw some meat on there. There are 3 sauces. One is a sweet sauce. And then another one's just a Carolina-style vinegar sauce with hot peppers and stuff. And then just kind of a Midwestern Kansas-style sauce with tamarind. Anyway, go for it. So cooking a hog is obviously really hard work. It takes a long time. But the payoff is that you get to have your homies come over and you get to have a party. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na. Don't be bashful. That was a close one. Oh. Cut.